here. You know, make sure there's nothing else in here too. Blow it out if you need to. Just get all this. We wiped them pretty clean. We cleaned them with a whole bunch of fluid. Again, might be a concern for us. Again, we did some scraping, but he's going to press against the plastic. You're hoping that this rises up enough. This O-ring is still good where it can actually put pressure, because this is the only thing that's going to put vacuum seal this round O-ring onto our plastic right here when it's going to come in on top. So we're hoping that this thing right here will seal, because this will seal the plastic. This gasket will seal the plastic onto the crankcase, but you also have another level here, and you want to make sure that this guy gets sealed by the O-ring, the plastic here. Again, and you want to double check to make sure your hole is perfectly, which there is. There's no closing space. It's actually perfectly, see that? Perfectly cut for the hole opening to be used. And same thing with our intake. So let's go and put the gasket back in here. Okay, so let's go and worry about getting this guy to fit on here first. In fact, we could probably even mount this on here and just put it on there afterward, but I feel like it's so much easier since we got the engine top view already open. Let's just go ahead and see. He's like a double rubber boot. This one's like a good opening here. This will fit your, this is probably a 32. So it's going to take, 30, I'm sorry. So it's probably going to slip in a little bit more easier. It's probably going to slip into the second bracket. The first bracket is probably 32. The next one below it is 30. So it's probably going to go all the way to the 31. If it even reach that far, you can see here. Expected is probably not going to reach the past the, expected is probably not going to reach past the 30. The 30 coupler, the rubber coupler. So it's not going to go far back, so we don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to, you can put a little bit of oil too if you want to help you lube it in there. Some, I don't know, mystery oil, but I prefer to keep it dry because it's not that hard to put it in. So I'm going to go and give it a little bit of force to push it in. You can see, just like I did my piston rings, I kind of bite into one area on the corner and just kind of fiddle in there. It has a little dig-in lip anyway, or a little anchor lip. There you go. You can hear it smack in there. And then you want to, I like to go all the way, you know what I mean? There's no reason for you to leave the excessive out unless you're trying to extend it for clearance issue maybe. Then, but for me, you might as well just take it all the way in. And this thing's already getting tight already, so let me loosen this out. I'm going to back this up. And you can back it out with a Phillips or a flathead, doesn't matter. I'm just going to back it up with my Phillips I have on hand here. I think this is the same 10mm. Alright, I think it's backed up already. You don't want it too loose because it's going to spin everywhere. It's causing inconvenience. You just want enough to get it all shoved in there. See that? I want to shove it all the way in there. I almost want this this end of this to meet the end of this, really. The coupler is just there to hold it in tightly aired. Alright, so this guy's getting tight again. It's amazing how these guys are getting tight. Okay, so... oh, there we go. Here, snap. It's actually made all the way, maybe, to the 30mm side of the intake manifold, because the intake manifold itself is only 30mm right here, but what makes it 32, it has the 32mm coupler at the very end, just in case you need that little bigger extension. But yeah, everything's going good. Now what you do with this one is you want to make sure this stays here at this side of the coupler, because it needs to actually put pressure so that, you know, it doesn't create any easily vacuum opening. And then you want to put this all the way to edge here as well to actually protect your carburetor from actually sealing. So these little, that's why they give you two of them, because this is a long one. You want to go ahead and make sure this gets clamped here on one end and this gets clamped here on the other end. What I like to do is face this a certain way. When I put it down, I can actually open it, so I'll twist it this way and actually screw it in like that. So that's what I'll do. It's not going anymore. Now I just want to go and do a little dry test here. You can see here with the plastic one, it might help out a little bit, because it does actually look like it's hitting the bar. Let's see if we can see it. See that? The air intake is actually so low. Carburetor is still kind of tight and not aligned incorrectly. So we're going to go ahead and make sure of that. This one looks super perfect. Alright, so now we can go ahead and give this guy a good snug down. Give this guy a good snug down. because they're both to where I'm wanting them to. I'm actually having to use the whole wrench full 360 because it seems like, be careful, you can still crush these guys. Again, it's aluminum with cast aluminum. It's not any stronger. Oh boy, see that? I stripped it. I think he's just tightening and then he's releasing himself. See there? That's kind of stripped a little bit. Okay, there you go. See that retracted back? It's not gripping all the metal. It should, but it should be fine now. Yeah. Alright, there we go. This rubber is just to prevent the vacuum leaks. You got a lot of fuel and air going on there. Alright, so it's still not really tight because I can still spin this. And that's not really what I'm aiming for. So this needs to be really snug. So let me try to snug. If not on this side, and on the other side, is it? Something's still causing it to spin very freely. Hoping that, because over time when you're tugging on the cable, you know, it's not going to tug it left and right, but it's still going to put a little bit of tug here. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. So this thing just fell off somewhere. I'm not sure where. Things are always falling off on the scooter here. Alright, we'll figure this one out. We'll keep this guy here in their little scraps of plastic. We'll think, oh shoot, that's what came off, you know? This is my tooth. So here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and try to, what I'm gonna do is get a, you know, I guess you can get something like a, what do you call it, pair of pliers, and kind of move this up a little bit so it can actually have some rail to climb up. Sort of like feeding it rails, you could say. That's probably why it's slipping, because there's no rail. So what I'm gonna do is get a needle nose plier. While I'm tightening it, push down on it or something. Let's see, without damaging it. First of all, I want to make sure these are perfectly where I want it to. Adjust it wise. Once we lock it in, I think this is good. The float bowl is going to be happy. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is feed it some rail. I'm going to push the rail in a little bit more. You can see here, pushing it toward the right. And then I'm going to drive it in. Oh, though I still see it's still skipping. Ah, these things are weak. Let's see if I can get this guy tighter. Yeah, this one's no problem. Yep, this one's not biting. It's not biting at all. It's almost like it's just want to hang out there. This one's biting though. This one's no problem, but it's turning the whole hose here in this one. Darn, one always a challenge after another, right? So you can see here, this is so slipping. And we don't want any vacuum leaks. Just want to secure like this guy right here. So let me go and get another. We're gonna get another one of these guys here. And I regretfully don't have one on top of me real quick, so let me go grab it. Let's go and take him off. And let's see what's his problem. Why he's gotta ruin the party. So look at that. Yeah, that's probably why. Look at him. He's like, man, I've been working overtime. Yeah, I can see that. Let's see if I can get completely. Maybe there's a way of fixing it. I don't know. I never tried to fix one of these guys before. They just usually don't strip out on me unless they break off or something. It's interesting. So curve him around. There it is. The teeth just keep slipping in this area right here. Look at that. It's just bending it. Bending it right there. So Maybe we can flex it back in. It can reverse itself. Not sure. It's kind of hard to get my teeth in there, or my needle nose pliers, to really bend it. Maybe a flathead will do it. Nope, not even a flathead will do it. Okay. I mean, this thing looks like it's pretty strong. Or maybe this needs to be shoved in a little bit more. This right here. So we can compact that one in and try to re-drive it back again. Okay, so we're going to get the needle nose. Just put a little pressure. Try to protrude this guy more in more maybe. There we go. Maybe that little bit of flexibility helps it. There we go. Not feeling like I'm doing a lot right now for it, but this works, I'll be damn. Say how you actually fix one of these guys. There we go. Trying to do is probe him in there more. That way he can, I guess, lift himself up and bite down more on this. Yeah, because this one's skipping. Or I can squeeze as much as I can, try to get to the next jump. I think if once I make it to the next jump, I think it's pretty much scotch-free. So let's go and put him back in. These stainless steel clamps, huh? Okay, let's go ahead and try to solder them in there. Now I'm going to help him as much as possible. I'm trying to, you know, create the pressure off of him until he gets to the next level of lathering. Yeah, I'm going to try to push him without moving my... Actually, my carburetor needs to move quite a bit. It's way... needs to be moved, like right there. I should put a leveler here. Really want to get perfect, huh? Could probably do that. I have a little portable mercury leveler. Ugh. Usually they have those little rulers with them. That's fine. Okay. Just want to scoot him back to where he's supposed to be meeting up with his buddy there. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze him myself while applying some pressure. Now this might be enough actually to really sort, but I'm really not that confident because I see him wanting to slip out. So what I'm going to do is apply some pressure. First of all, where's my socket driver? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to give him a squeeze, and then I'm going to drive him with my socket. Alright, feel like it's tight, but let me just squeeze some more. Drive my socket. I mean, I feel like he's slipping. I'm going to stop. There we go. There we go. What about that? What about you? That's good. Now, sure, we're going to put some pressure here and there, but the more pressure we put on the rubber, it's fine. It's not going to cause this guy to get loose. The only time this guy gets loose is like, dude, I'm tired of all this thread work. So let me go and guess lift it. Nah, we'll leave this alone. I was going to pinch him up a little bit, but that might ruin my luck. Okay, so let's go ahead and now we got that squared away. Let's put our K&N air filter in there. And let's put a tie strap on the other end here. That wasn't really hard to install at all, actually. Well, we did all the jetting and everything already. All right. Wrap my bubble wrap. My same K&N filter, protect from debris. This was a red color, by the way. Very low there, you can see. But I'm thinking, I just realized here that if you actually, level it right, I took out the cotton here to get an idea where it would sit. It actually still comes and makes it away. So you look at it, I'm pushing down on it. If it's perfectly, let's say with the cylinder stud, There you go, see? It lifted it up. It's enough to actually make it perfect. So this will actually fit perfect for us. Even without the spacer, we don't really need it. But the only reason why we're using the spacer is it's not just to put more stuff on our scooter that we don't need. But it's actually, I'm hoping that this won't not transfer the heat, because this gets hot to the touch and it transfers the same heat amount of temperature when I feel it right here. And this gets hot too, and this is where your air is funneling in. So I like to keep this channel cool as possible, even though it's going to eventually get hotted up when it gets into this chamber. But still, you know, the longer you can keep your engine cooler, the better. So I'm hoping this plastic spacer not only gives it enough rise, because we have plenty of room to rise, right? Or maybe we do. We gotta find out, because when we put the seat cover, it might be a different story. So I'll do like a dry fit, and then we'll put the seat on and see if we actually did it. Now, if we don't have it, then we're still okay, because again, when we push down on this, this actually lifts up enough of the nose here where we can actually, if you come back here and see it, see that? It lifts it up well, sort of. You can see right here, there, better. See that? Before we saw it like this, right? Coming in like this. But if you have it mounted, once you have it mounted like right there firmly, it does come off. So we can actually put our intake manifold and just be done with it. Now, it's just worse than the worst. We're trying to see if we can actually keep the engine cooler, because heat is, you know, pretty much a worst enemy of engine. If you can keep your engine cooler, that's why oil cooler and everything else, it'll perform much better. That's why people introduce, you know, nitrous oxide, because that's like really cold force air in there. So that's where it goes. We're going to go ahead and try to keep our engine cooler, especially in the intake manifold area, by putting a spacer and the base gasket, just a paper one. And let's see what we can do right now. Let's do a dry fit here and see how that looks. Let's go and put our paper gasket in there. I was going to say the smooth side goes first. So it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to get ideal level how high it's going to be. So, or even if it's going to be doable. Okay, so I'm putting pressure on the mount here, if we were like to mount it. And I believe this is alignment with the bolt spacing. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't put that much more height on it. But again, we want to make sure when we actually bolt it down, I'll put the seat on top of it. I know I can have a little opening here anyway for it to protrude out, but I like to be able to close that opening of that seat cover bottom still. So everything should work accordingly. I'm not sure, but I think the other intake manifold, of course, was flatter. It didn't have a little tube sticking out here. So we might actually have to do without the spacer. But let's try it with it first, bolt it down, and then we'll come back to it, and then we'll put the seat on top of it and actually see if it actually clears the seat. Because that's the only difference is making sure now the seat's clear. We can definitely know that it will fit. We could put our K&N air filter back in there. I'm thinking of maybe using uni filter, because it has already that second level foam filter. I was going to do a tee off, have the fumes come back and feed into the air filter. But again, that would be something we could probably think about doing it after when we get there. So no problem there. This is for the exhaust, and we got our cylinder and exhaust bolts and everything almost ready. So we'll put these guys in there in the bottom as well. And here's our intake manifold. And we're going to use these nice chrome NCY ones instead of the ugly green ones. And we're going to keep back the Tata, the one that we took out. You want to keep the shorter one driven in, and you want to keep the longer one facing the intake manifold side. So if you want to know, it sometimes doesn't really matter, but for this case, it looks like they're the same actually. They're universal. You can see, I'm not sure if I'm in the right direction, but they're both the same thread length, right? This guy, let's see if I flip one around. And oh! I'm not sure if I flipped them yet, but we'll sign up. Okay, so if I flip them like this, there we go, put them in the flat area, that way we can see if they're level. Okay, and I'm going to flip one around, see if it's the same thread length. In this case, actually, it's almost identical. Yeah, they're almost identical. Let me flip it again just to make doubly check. So it doesn't, if that's the case, it doesn't really matter which side you put it in, as long as you just put it in. Okay, yeah, they're identical. I mean, do you see maybe the right side's a little rised up more? Might be, huh? Yeah, it does look like. Okay, the right side. Okay, no, the right side does look like it's leveled up more. So it's kind of uneven here. So the right side, the thread is a little bit smaller than the bottom part of the right side. So let's go and flip this around. So the smaller one needs to face anchored to the cylinder head, and then the longer thread needs to face up toward the intake manifold. Why? Because you don't want to dig so much thread into your cylinder head. I think that's the reason why they made it that way. So yeah, it's very hard to tell, but yeah, if you level it up like this, you can see now that now this is even. So this is a longer thread right here on top, and that faces your upper intake manifold, and then the smaller thread goes diving in. So let's go and dive it in now. I mean, there's no reason why we can't. Just like everything's ready to set. So let me go ahead and get this guy fit in here. I'm gonna go ahead and drive him in. Make sure the base gasket and everything's aligned. Easier to do it with both fingers. I mean both hands. So just to make sure again, I'm gonna put these cap on ahead of time just to make sure we're spinning it. Not even putting blue Loctite yet. That can be wait till afterwards. Again, I don't think we ever need to actually put in the engine because that thing seizes up. But we probably need to put anti-seize really, if you really want to be able to take these guys off easily next time. Okay, so let's go ahead and align my gasket here. This is where the spray would come in hand because it will make things stick. But I'd rather do without it because it was so much more trouble. What I do is this. I could probably do it this way. Yeah, line it up here on top, and then protrude the intake to hold it all in alignment here. No, this looks like it's smashing the flat of. What do we care more? We want to secure the flat one here, or this one's more smoother onto the intake manifold. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, but we keep it this way. This one looks like it pops up more onto the plastic. Why don't we do it this way? It just feels like, you know, normal that most time you want a smooth surface sitting on top. Okay, so we'll put it that way. Put this guy through. There we go. And that'll hold that alignment in place. Okay, so it wants to swing. Whatever you do, don't fall into the intake manifold without me. Alright. Try not to scratch it anymore. Alright, here we go. Get this guy in here. Now we could have done the other way too, like mount the intake studs ahead of time, but come on. Simple job's not supposed to take a detour like this. There we go. Alright, so that one's there now. So what we do is alright, come on guy. Where are you at now? Here we go. Seriously. Okay, here we go. So we're going to put this guy back in here for the 50th time. 5th time. Alright, now we got to worry about, the only loose part we have to worry about is the gaskets on the bottom. So I'm going to hold those gasket here, and you have gravity just hold the stud for me. Come around. Swing it around. As soon as I get some thread in there, we are golden. Okay, this is not hitting the thread yet. I think that's hitting the thread. Is that hitting the thread? Yep, that's hitting the thread. I think that's hitting the thread. That or this guy's just moving. Only the thread's moving, maybe. Okay, I don't want to lift yet. Take my 10mm extension here, and let's try and see if we can move it in more. All right, here we go. There we go. Okay. Kind of a little sticky. Alright, what I'm going to do is lift it up, that way you guys can see it too. So let's kind of lift it up and see if it's actually... we don't want to, you know, make a new hole in the gasket or anything. We want to make sure the gasket is loose. So the gasket is, it has a little playroom, but it's not coming away from the studs. There you go, that's one side right here, nice and secure. This guy can go in, take a little bit more drive in. And let's go and check out the other side, make sure that one's the same. We don't want it to gasket look like it's not being pinched or compromised. That looks okay. Okay. That's it. So we're going to go ahead and drive it in straight. While putting pressure on everything else around near it. Oh, want to make sure before we do that, let's see how our fuel line is going to connect. So we have this fuel inlet, right? And it should be somewhere. The fuel inlet. Don't tell me it's on the other side. I know this is the drain bolt area. I'm trying to find the fuel inlet. On the PWK, it might be on the other side. Lo and behold, it's right here on top, actually. So it's just, so we need to get this guy to come over like this, which is easier actually for tie strapping reasons. So we can get this guy to come over right here, and we could just tie strap him from this side, so there's no problem at all. So let's remove this old tie strap. There we go. We'll put the fuel line in there now. There we go. How about that? That doesn't look too shabby, huh? It's going to go over this crossbar, which actually doesn't actually get hot, I don't think. Or we can go underneath the crossbar, whichever works. Let's see. But this creates a little loop. Comes into the bottom. You want to make sure it's an incline still. It's sort of an incline, I guess. Or we can go from inside. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. But at least we know where the fuel line is now. Sitting right there on top. Alright. And the little vacuum that sucks out from the intake manifold will help a little bit of the vacuum still anyway. It's not going to be purely dependent upon just the gravity a little bit. So there is vacuum that comes and sucks everything that forces it into the cylinder head. So this is looking good. Let's go ahead and make sure we align it straight before we start bolting down everything. We hand tighten much as we can. Now it's time to actually tighten it down completely. We got a fuel filter there. Okay, let's get the right socket on here. I'm going to try to get a longer extension so that way it won't get in the way of your viewing when you tightening it down. Oh, let me go and find that longer extension, which is always gone when you need it. Alright, so let's see here. I only got this extension here, but I guess it's fine. Try to get out of your way. So I'll block it. Let me find that long extension. Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue on. We're going to put the intake manifold on there now. So I got the longer extension. Hopefully get out of the camera view's way. With the longer extension comes greater possibility. Greater responsibility, because now you don't have to leverage that you're... Well, you have greater leverage because you can easily twist off. But yeah, so the cap here is going to eventually cap off the threads, so that means it's going to start driving it into the cylinder head, which it just did. Awesome. So I want to make sure it just spins freely now, so you can do it by hand now. It's a little tighter squeeze initially, but it's getting there. Just twisting it by hand. There we go. It's coming and gone. See how I straighten this off with realignment? This one got a long ways to go still. You can see here, as I'm twisting it, it's actually driving the cylinder stud first into the cylinder head before it actually closes up in this area on the top view. So, which is fine. We can really see if the thread's actually moving, or is it just this, just the acorn nut. I believe it's just the acorn nut. I'm trying to find a little spatacle on the thread so we can follow with our eye. But it's just, there we go, I found a spatacle there. You guys see it? The spatacle is not moving, so it's just our acorn nuts moving. Yep, so now it's driving our acorn nut. And our acorn nut is actually used for the exhaust, but I think it looks fabulous on this one. It's nice and chromed, you know? Give it back that bling bling that was missing from the green lime. Or that green, which we'll probably replace a whole bunch of those guys eventually. I'm still debating on using the Nolan washer or not, but for right now, you know, what do they say? If it's not broken, why fix it? But you can always improve on it. Okay, now again, you might want to torque this to about 7 to 8 foot-pounds. Even though it's a 10mm socket, the thread is still an M6, I believe. So you definitely don't want to over torque this. And I'm going to go ahead and torque it now to spec. I'm going to change it to my torque and go to 84 inch-pounds, which is equivalent to 7 foot-pounds of torque. And you don't want to do any more than that because you're driving into your aluminum head. And then for the exhaust studs, we have to get an Allen one to actually get something to torque that one out. We'll eventually get there. Okay, so I'm going to take my torque socket here, or torque wrench here, you can see it. Make sure it's at 84 inch. It's already at 84 inch, right? You can see the 80, and then you can see the 4 right there. That's how you get 84 inch-pounds, which equals to 7 foot-pounds. And there it is, my Husky. Husky, just like that beautiful dog that came through. There we go. Okay, it's not clicking yet, but I just want to hold this for level. Not yet. There we go, clicking. Sorry, give me 1 second. It's not getting in yet. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. See here, click. There we go, that's clicked. Alright, so that's it. That's pretty much how much you want to torque it, really. If everything is all holds true and the studs and everything are there, you should be good. Should create the seal that you're looking for, the compact. Again, it's going to pretty much put this right here, this flap stays above the fan shroud top, so it's going to put some pressure on this fan shroud a little bit, so it's going to compact it down. There's just no need for us to really shave it. For cosmetic, you really want to go for it, go for it. The idea for me is to get anything to get away from the heat of the engine. You can see here, even my hose line here, you can see here I lifted it up a little bit. You can't tell, but there's no space in back here. That's just the back plate, but it's actually lifted off right there. See, that's lifted up. I tie strap it to the bar. Maybe you can see it on this side, I don't know. See there, it's not really, this is not really touching it. See, it's lifted off. That little tube there, it's lifted off. So anything you can see here, we don't have any more drain tube. One less, I guess, worry. Or else we would have put something else to protect it. In fact, we could have put something here to protect this one too. I believe it has those, we can use that insulator. And let's see how cool that looks. Just for shits and giggles here. I think this might be too small. We'll see. You think it'll fit? Good. Put it over through the line. Let's see. I'm going to try to take this off, get the tie strap ready. Again, we're going to have to unloosen this anyway because we have to put the fan shroud back on top anyway. So it's not like a permanent thing right now. But let's see if actually I haven't even screwed this in tight yet. Let me screw this in tight and then we'll continue on from there. Take my 10mm again with the socket. Let's drive this guy in. Let me drive him in first and then I'll bring the camera over because you won't be able to see there. Yeah, you can see me. I'm peeping it out a little bit. It says I want to face it this way. I'm going to bring it closer to the edge on one of this first. Let's work on this guy first. Because the idea of this guy, I'm going to make sure he gets clammed in there really nicely. Yep, and I want to make sure this gets pretty leveled. I want it really level. So if you go from eye view like here, you want to be able to look down and say, hey, look, I don't see too much to the left. I don't see it swinging too much to the right. I just want to make it eye level. I mean, if you have this advantage, it's not going to kill you. But if you have it, might as well take full advantage of it. I want to twist this in more. See that right here? This is kind of coming in a lot more than this one. So let me compact this side real quick. Let me go and put this back in the hanger. Compact it. Yeah. Yep. As compact as can as possible. Okay, and it's also kind of level where your engine will rest. So this is pretty awesome. It's pretty level as far as I can tell. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is torque it down and I'll go and give you a visual inspection again. Again, we changed the idle jet to 42, our slow jet, aka. And then we changed the main jet to 125. Again, this is for the 180cc build with the big valve to the head. So let's see how it runs all together. And then we changed the roller weights to 12 grams, just to give you a refresh of notes what we did. And then the clutch springs, we changed them, not yet, but we plan to change them to 1000, but they're still at 2000 RPM clutch springs. And then the compression springs, we have the yellow color coded one rated at 1500 RPMs from 1500. It was running really sluggishly slow, so I'm hoping all these changes, including the PWK carburetor. Be careful, it's better to just try to test your engine with much more richer than it is lean. Lean is being mean. Come on, how come it's not, is it not gripping? Oh, you know what? Wrong socket, Mike. I'm using a 10mm socket, probably on an 8mm threads. What do you call that, head? So let me change that guy back to 8mm here. So where he belongs. I was using a 10mm, can you believe that? And I'm thinking, how come it's not gripping? Alright, so that's how I lose my bolts pretty much. Just kind of slip out of my hands. Okay, there we go. Now I feel like it's tightening. Okay, I'm just tightening it by hand first, just to get a feel for where all the adjustments are. Now, this is coming a little bit more, there's more space on this one than this one. So I'm going to back this out a little bit. I'm going to angle it in a way where it comes in evenly. Because I'm just not that hard to do too. It's kind of like it. Perfect. Perfect. Alright, there we go. So that one's ready. I'm not going to tighten it yet until I get this other guy into as well. Okay, so we got this guy ready to go. Now you want to bring him to the other side of the edge, so you want him to, this coupler to grip more the intake manifold side. And when both of those level each other up the same way. Okay, bring them up a little bit. Let's see if they're level. Oh boy, see why I'm leveling it? I'm twisting this guy back, and we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the top and make sure it's leveled. And then I'm going to go start driving it in. So let me bring my socket ready. And this is not torque needed, just tighten it as much as you can where you feel like it's not going to break off or anything. Okay, there's my socket wrench. Alright, so you see here, we want to make sure our